know we're gonna have a good time here.
Hello? Is anybody here?
Who are you? We have a reservation here.
We just reserved this house for 4 days. We just got here.
Do you guys mind if we stay here tonight and figure it out tomorrow?
There's some shady dude out there in some hood and a robe.
What did you actually see?
Tony, whatever it was is gone.
Someone's in the house.
Well, how did anyone get in? What's wrong with you, mate? Looks like you haven't slept in days.
I heard the craziest sound in the middle of the night, man. Screaming, screeching sound.
Well, if I believed in ghosts, I'd say you heard a banshee. A banshee's a female spirit, but legend has it, when a banshee wails across the moors, someone is going to die. It's probably just somebody playing a joke. Well, it looks like we're all alive. Made it through the night.
Boom, there you go. That was the trailer for Holistay, streaming on all digital platforms right now. It's your boy Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. And as you see on the screen, I have a special guest, the writer, director, producer, her directorial debut, Mary Gallagher. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Definitely. So you were, I was trying to do a little bit of homework, like a columnist at first, like a political columnist, and then did a little bit of documentary work. And now you decided to come out with this thriller in Holistay. Tell me just a little bit about yourself and this journey into, doing some horror, classic horror, if you will.
So I was a political writer, a columnist for 15 years in Philadelphia, where I was born and raised, and I produced political debates for Comcast. And I did that for a long time. I was on those Sunday morning round table political talk shows, and I produced and directed a documentary called Electile Dysfunction about the apathy of the American voter. I started it in 2006, came out 2008, was on Netflix for a while. And then as all newspapers were going by the wayside, internet was replacing a lot of the content was there, but the delivery was different. So my column got downsized and then the paper was sold. And so I'd already been interested in the producing side of film, even though I was, producing debates, it's still producing, it's bringing people and elements together. And I enjoy doing the documentary, but I was kind of getting over politics. I wanted to do something different. So I moved to LA in 2010 and I started working on a whole projects, but other people's projects. And then as time went on, I decided to do my own. And I had a film that about pilots, Irish pilots getting stuck in LA during a strike at LAX airport, baggage handler strike. And that was fun. But the COVID came and the funding fell out because Ireland was having a lockdown and some issues. So I said, well, okay, let me retool. And my distributor said, why don't you do a small indie horror film? So I'm not a fan of slashers, but I like a good ghost story. And I like the old Hitchcock thrillers, my favorites. And I liked Halloween 1. Halloween 1 told a story. It wasn't a lot of gore or blood. It was all lighting and music and the mask, and the creepiness of it was, I started thinking about something like that. And then I had watched Brian Bertino's movie in 2008, The Strangers, 2018. No, 2008. Sorry. The masked people that came and terrorized. Liv Tyler was in it. And it was based on a true story. And it was all these were set in like one location. So when you have a small budget and you're doing an indie film, you think about, okay, well, where is this going to take place? And so I started putting this together, and I would say that Holistay, which means in British, it means staycation. The British term for staycation. I thought, it's actually more of a thriller than horror. It's a slow burn percolating up till the very end. And there's only 6 characters, and I shot it in my house in Vegas. Really? Yes, because I couldn't find the right location. It takes place in San Diego because I lived in San Diego for 5 years after LA. And in San Diego, it's a lot of day stuff. It's boating, fishing, the zoo and all. It's not uncommon that people chill out at night, by the pool with a drink because they've done all their day stuff. In Vegas, you're not home at night. Okay. Yeah. That's not going to work. So it would be challenging to shoot in San Diego for all kinds of reasons. So out here in Vegas, I was trying to find a house, and then there was too many restrictions on different locations. I have a big film office here and a film office, it just wasn't. So I just decided to shoot it in my house. I can do this and I can control the environment. I don't care that equipment can stay all night. People can shoot all night. I don't care. Right. So that's how that started. And we shot last April, and the film came out a few weeks ago on Amazon Prime Video. It's on VOD. It's on iTunes, and it's going to be on AVOD in a couple weeks. And so we've had some positive, feedback from it. And it was a lot of fun doing it. No issues, no drama. 6-day shoot. That's it.
Wow. Okay. That was a lot there. Thank you for all of that. As a filmmaker myself, and as an independent filmmaker, and having worked on big and small projects, it's a lot, and there's a lot to learn on those various ends. And you took on, like you said, you were a writer, and then you had a producer hat for a little bit, but here, you make your directing debut with this. But I'm assuming just because of low budget and just time, let's throw the director hat on, let's take on that task. How ready were you for it? Because you held a lot of hats with this production. Was that an easy transition? Did you already kind of have like an understanding because of, producing, I give respect to everybody on that food chain, if you will, of crew and what we do as creatives. Everybody and plays a part. But when you're on an indie production, you wear multiple hats. Is there anything you learned or anything you can impart to other filmmakers? Because I have a lot of filmmakers, fellow friends that watch this as well, that, we learn as we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So producing, I had already done with the debates, and I had produced and directed the documentary, although documentaries are different than features. So one of the things I hadn't done was write the script. So in my past project, I had hired a professional screenwriter. We had the same agent, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to write it myself because I know what it is. I have the story in my head, and I wrote it out, and I made some adjustments here and there, but it's very easy to direct something you've already written. That is why there's a lot of writer directors, and why a lot of directors will not direct anything but their own material that they've written. A lot of them, mostly indie. I mean, studios are different. They'll hire a known writer and then bring a director in and all that. I'm not saying I would never do it. It's just easier if you have, because you already have the story in your head. You already know, even if it is somebody else's work, it's just easier if you've written it yourself. And also, I allow actors the freedom to change if they want. If they say my character wouldn't say it like this or wouldn't do this, I allow that, because good actors, they become the character. It's in their heads. So now they're that person. And so I like that relationship where you have freedom, flexibility to change things here and there. I am that kind of director. What I would change moving forward, I had a good crew. What I didn't have was an AD, and I should have had one, because the AD is the barking dog in the room, right? So I knew some of these actors I've known for a long time, right? And I thought, well, there's only 6 characters, 4 leads, 2 supporting. I can handle them, right? It's not about it. It's more about getting to the set on time, getting here on time, getting in place on time, and staying on a schedule. Sometimes they deviate from that. Sometimes the crew deviates from that. So, the DP went to do an errand. Well, let's shoot our scene. Where's the DP? Oh, he went to do an errand. Really? Now? So, and so these things kind of, and I think people kind of sense that if you're kind of soft touch, they will take advantage. It's just human nature. It's like, I'm going to sneak a phone call in with my, before the set, or I'm going to get a snack in before, So next time I will have an AD to keep everybody on a schedule and on track. You need that barking dog in the room. That's one thing I would tell. Even if you have to forego something else in your budget, get that AD, because you cannot do everything yourself. You can't. I mean, you can try. And I finished the film with no incident, as I mentioned, but it was a little stressful from my end. It's sometimes just getting people to listen, and then you're going from the barking dog to the creative person to try to, you're trying to visualize the scene and make things, I was also the script supervisor, by the way. I held the script, so we kept the thread. Again, if they wanted to say something or add something or exclude something, that was fine, but you still have to keep on sequence. And I was also the set designer, costume designer. I have different names in there, and they're all my names, nicknames from college or my mother's maiden name.
Yeah.
It's all different names. They're all me.
I love that. Filmmaking is chaos. It's a chaos that we choose to do. It's you have to want it, you have to love it. But it's controlled chaos. And I thank you for those pro tips, because I definitely have seen that and know that well through my own productions and other people's productions. So thank you for that, Mary. Truly appreciate that. Hopefully that just hammers it home for more folks that are trying to get into what we do. Yes. One of the threads I noticed from conversating with you right now is and some of your past projects is Ireland. Is that like your ethnicity? And from what I saw with this, we got banshees, we have these Ireland visitors that are staying in this home with this American couple. How does like your ancestry, or if that is your ancestry, I don't know, plays into with what you create and write?
It is my ancestry. My family came from Ireland, both sides, Ireland, Scotland, but they came hundreds of years ago. My husband's from Ireland. He's been in the States 30 years now. So when I was writing this, two things. One, I wanted one of the couples to be absolutely perfect. I don't know if you've seen the film or not, but if you have not and you see it, you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't want to give too much away, but Irish people are very likable. So I wanted one couple to be very likable, very good looking, happy people, right? Irish are very happy people, personality wise. Secondly, when I was looking for creatures, I was trying to think of something different. I didn't want to do the same masked thing. Okay. That's done and done and done. I wanted something different. And I'm trying to think, what can I do? I don't have budget for CGI. I don't have, today's movies, all the creatures, these demons, they're walking on the wall, they're walking upside down, they're all twisting around, it's all digitized. You're watching an AI creature. Okay. Not only do I not really want that, but I don't have the budget for it. And I don't want it. So I want real terror, but going back to the Irish couple, I started to think of, so Ireland's filled with mythical creatures, ghosts. That's where it all came from, that area. That in Transylvania and Germany, Bavaria, and all around there. So I started thinking Irish. So banshees? Banshees are female spirits who wail when someone's going to die. You hear them. And then also there's druids, who are ancient Celtic priests. They're not necessarily bad, but they could be. So that's when I started to bring in those, those elements in as, and again, I wouldn't exactly say it's horror. It didn't turn out horror. I know they've advertised it as horror. It's more suspense and more of a thriller. And it's a very slow burn. Like I said, everything leads up to the very end. So that's how I arrived at the Irishness of the couple and the banshee and the druid. In fact, even today, I was reading the Irish Times because I just got back from Ireland last week. People there still hear a banshee. They still hear the banshee.
Wow.
Yeah. They
That's
still hear
awesome.
the banshee. So they're out there. They're out there, and my film leaves the question of the reality of this banshee.
Uh-huh.
Who is she really? Which opens up to Holistay too.
Oh, Holistay too. We're gonna get there. Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. First off, I caught the Irishness because that's part of my ancestry. That's part of my background. I'm Filipino, very Filipino, but a little bit of my DNA is Ireland, and I've been there many times. Love Ireland.
Yeah, great.
So I just wanted to highlight the love there. So as a creative, so was that, and from what you just said, so did they tell you like do like a horror thriller type project, right? As you said earlier. So you leave from that, they that was a company, that's what the production company suggested to you. So was the first like a light bulb coming up with the banshee element first, and then that led to the additional ideas of then forming that? Or did you just know I was good? Like, what was the first part of the idea, I guess, the concept, that you had in before, putting everything together? Like, did you have like a name first? I'm curious on a creative front, like where seeds of ideas spark and then lead into everything else.
Well, I think it started with, again, you look at your budget and you say, okay, I can't do multiple locations. I can't have all these characters. And then you look at, again, going back to the models of the other films I'd watched, but not Halloween. I had a lot of characters in it, but that was low budget, by the way. Strangers had 6 characters and it worked. And I started looking at other horror movies and they all seemed to be small cast and in one location. So I started with the location and then thought, oh, what's going to happen in this house? And I thought, what if these people came together, didn't know each other? How are they getting there? Well, let's do a vacation rental. Now, since my idea that I had in my head 2.5, 3 years ago, there have been movies with vacation rental horror, right? I've seen a few.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon, although to be honest, I didn't take it from that. I already had that concept. They just got their movies out before me, but it's a good concept. It works, right? So I started with that and then started looking at the couple. Who are these people? And like I said, I started with, I wanted to keep in the Irish theme anyway, because I had the previous movie had Irish theme. So I stuck with that. And so I made the one couple Irish, and then the others, I started thinking about creatures and how I could make them different. There's not a lot of movies with banshees floating around.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say there aren't any, but not that many. And there's no druids. I haven't seen any druids except maybe there was a druid in A Lord of the Rings, which is one of my favorite trilogy movies. There may have been a druid in Witcher. I liked Witcher. I just finished watching that last season, although that was very heavy CGI in this season. There was really, I thought it was too much. I had preferred the first season. So that's, simplicity, trying to think of different aspects. Also, I thought it would do well in that part of Ireland and the UK. Currently, hasn't gotten to Ireland yet. It's in the US and the UK, which would be Northern Ireland, and that's part of Ireland, and Canada. But I haven't. I wanted something culturally interesting and different. And so again, we've all seen the demonic possession movies. There's a lot of American horror. There's a lot of Transylvania and the old, that. So, but there's a lot of ghost stories in Ireland. There's always something, always some ghost story. And a lot of the films we don't get to see here. You could see them in the BBC but Ireland does have a lot of, and when I say ghost stories, I mean, spirits and things, which is what I like. And if I get a bigger budget, I want to shoot in Ireland, my second one, Holistay, and have more spirit world, but you have to have the money to do that. You have to do it right. You can't just have some apparition, somebody walking around in a sheet, right? You have to do it right.
Definitely.
So if you don't have the money, don't do it. Don't try that. I was just watching The Pope's Exorcist. Have you seen that?
I didn't see it, but I'm aware of it. Yeah.
So again, demonic possession, nothing we haven't seen, more creatures walking upside down. But the thing with this story, it had an interesting twist to it because it was based on a book written by the actual Pope's exorcist and his experience. So that made the story. So story is very important, whether it be a horror movie or a thriller movie. You got to have the story, because if you're just going to watch a bunch of people getting killed all the time, it's going to get boring. So
very true. As a filmmaker and as a person that promotes films through this, I see so much of that, and you're exactly right. There's so much product, but the ones that really catch your eye and you remember are focused on story, construction of the plot, just is everything. You feel it more, and it sits with you more. So I completely agree, and I'm always apt for more banshees and druids as a nerd. I love those characters and topics. Let's talk about your cast. You said you've worked with them before. Let's talk about this amazing cast and this very awesome looking banshee that I have behind me.
That's Bailey Bobsfeen. She and I just met. I had not worked with her before. She's local here in Vegas. She's a professional actor. I actually cast her at the 11th hour. I had a banshee and she flaked out. So 3 days before the shoot, I had to get a replacement. So thank gosh, there's a great casting website called Actors and Directors of Las Vegas. So I put out an immediate query, and there were several responded, and she came by and she was perfect. So screaming was important. But she loves horror movies. She's done several. And so she was just perfect. So I was very lucky to get her. She is going to have more screen time in Holistay too. But she does a fantastic job in the time that she has in this particular film. The druid is my childhood friend He lives in New York now. He's does a lot of off-Broadway. It wasn't a big part for him, but he also did some of the music. He's a PhD of ethnomusicology from NYU, so he did some of the scoring. The four leads. So you have Erin Gavin. She and I have the same agent. She was in my last picture that didn't happen, but I thought her to be perfect. Branna and Gavin Ofore, I met recently. Had not worked with him before, but he's in Vegas and he's from Ireland. He's been in the States about 20 years. He was perfect because he was very good looking. He was a model. He does a lot of stuff in Ireland now. He's doing Gaelic is back in Ireland. There's all these nighttime Gaelic drama shows, and they're all in Gaelic. So he's very busy. I was just lucky to get him. We shot Easter week, and so that was the only time he was available. And then the other couple, Stephen Martini, I've known him for a very long time. He's from New York, originally lives in LA, and he and I have been talking about, he was also supposed to be my last project. So I've been working with him in that project, and I brought him into this. I thought he would be a good Tony. And Gia is actually his wife in real life, Gabriela Kula. She's a Brazilian model. She's done a few films. She was perfect for that part. So I felt comfortable around these people. You have to have a comfort level when you're working with people. I know that's not always the case in bigger productions. Yeah. But if you have a small group, you really have to all have a camaraderie and a good rapport when you're working in close quarters and in a small group. So so that was the key people. And the crew, they all came through my DP, who came through professor at UNLV. This John Teodosio was my DP. He was a alum of UNLV, which has a big film school, as big as USC, believe it or not. So through him came the gaffer and the sound engineers and everybody else. And so, it was
that's awesome. It takes
great working with these people.
I love that. Yeah. And it because again, a lot of people, the stars get their names out there, the writer director here, get their names out, but it takes a village to make a film. And that's one of the things I love about filmmaking and the film family that you build. And as you said, on your larger projects, you don't really come close together because there's so many of you, but on your independent projects, your film set family really means a lot more, and you have a lot more time, and it's good that you get along with everybody because you are on very small sets and small areas, and you get very personable with a lot of people. So it's very important that you like each other for the most part, at least last through the production.
Yes, you don't have to love each other. Just get through the production. Well, Aaron and Gavin became great friends.
That's awesome.
They hit it off very well. Again, like you said, you have to just get through the part. Like sometimes my DP would get annoyed because we were going over or something like that. He'd get annoyed at one of the actors, and who was a little more creative in his approach to showing up. And so I said, look, John, I said, let's just get through. I'm not going to say anything to him. Okay. I want him to finish the scene, and then we'll worry about it later, because if I create tension, that's not going to help, because the crew is very analytical and they're looking at this in a very black and white fashion, because that's what they're trained. I mean, that's a good DP. It's all, it's camera work, right? It's angles, and it's very linear. Whereas the actors some of them are just very organic, and they'll just, so one of them in particular. So, like you have these little things come up here and there, but nothing that nobody can't handle. I mean, you read about these stories in the Hollywood Reporter or Variety or something, or you'll see it on TikTok, or these people are just, having these huge drama battles and on the set, and the director says, I can't work with these people, and he walks off, or she walks. Mostly, I haven't read about a female director walking off, but men, or the production company gets rid of the director because he wants too much, or he's run over budget, or he's way over budget now. You hear about this, but I think all in all, they're far and few between. I mean, remember, films are not only creative, they're also a business. So the bottom line is always going to be the dollar. And if the longer you take, the more it's going to cost, right? So, and my producer hat, this. And so you try to mitigate any drama or crosstalk or anything that's going to impede the production, because production is the first and foremost thing. You got to remember that. So it's not a bad thing to also be a producer as well as a director, creative, because the two have to work together. Often producers are on set anyway. In a bigger production, studios always have a producer on set, several.
Agreed.
Okay, to make sure that their dollar is being spent wisely, and the director isn't going off doing strange things, or running way over budget, or taking people on a hiatus somewhere. And that happens, not today, but you've heard these stories, especially It was big in the 80s when they would go way over budget and way over time. And I mean, look back at Lord of the Rings. They were so over time, budget. New Line was going to pull the plug. In fact, I think before New Line, there was another studio that pulled the plug, and then New Line came in, which is great because it's such a fabulous trilogy. But that's more challenging. That was an extremely challenging production. But, like I said, you just try to do what you got to do to get it done. And like, if you make yourself in a short period of time, I think it's better because you have to get it done. If you give yourself too much time, you tend to drag it out, and then more issues can arise.
Completely agree. Straight pro tips, y'all. If y'all watching this right now, these are pro tips. I can second everything you're saying right now, Mary. So with that being said, you survived your first directorial debut with this. And again, everybody, Holistay is available on all digital platforms right now. So go check it out so we can see Holistay 2, which I now want to get into because you did mention it. You survived, and you now have distribution. We're talking all the things Holistay right now, but we have a Holistay 2 in mind. Script written. What can you tell me without spoiling? And fingers crossed, because we know you want to bring it to Ireland. You mentioned that. but we need a budget. So that's why I'm also saying to everybody right now, go to all these digital platforms, go purchase Holistay so we can make this a reality for Mary.
I can't give too much of the plot on second because you have to stay.
But it's
first.
written. Everything's done.
It's half written. I'm changing it to Ireland. I went to Ireland. I decided I'm going to shoot this in Ireland. Now, it doesn't need to be shot in Ireland. It could be shot, back here.
Okay.
But I think adding a new dimension for this one would be interesting. We'll open it up. We'll do a few more scenes. It will be a bigger budget movie, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
Okay.
Definitely give it a shot.
Maybe scout some possible locations while you were on that trip.
I already did. I know where I want to shoot. There's a beach scene. There's a haunted place where things happen. I'm not going to tell you what I have in mind, but there'll be a scene there. Again, it'll be house focused.
Okay.
Different house, different victims, different couples.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I haven't gotten to the ending yet. I'm going to focus on that in the next couple of weeks. Okay. And then I will send it out for financing and see, because I would like to shoot it. The thing with Ireland is it's very rainy, right? So but June, July, August are the best months, but just coming back, it's light until 10 o'clock at night. That's not going to work, in terms of, if you're doing night shoots, that's a long time to wait for the dark. You'd have to really adjust everyone's schedules. So, or either shoot really early in the morning, and then you always risk having the sun come up early. So I think probably spring would be better because it'll get dark sooner. And so I'll have to take my chances with weather. There's lots of crews out in Ireland. They're a big film country.
I've had quite a few Ireland filmmakers on NRW, and just amazing, and just some young folks too. Like, wow, just amazing eye and creativity. When you mentioned Holistay too, again, like so many ideas came to mind. I've seen part of him. I haven't finished the Holistay one yet. I've seen part of it because I had to stop with other interviews I had today. But with you mentioning it, and just from watching this first one right now, so many ideas. As a creative, you can't help but love that infusion of creativity that happens when you're watching things and you get inspired. It's, we love this form that we do, right? But with you saying throwing it to Ireland, there's this B&B that I stayed at that, I loved. There's a castle ruin nearby. We went to the Cliffs of Moher. Such a beautiful place, and would love to see something like this happen. So please, everybody, go check out Holistay. Let's make this a reality for Mary. I'm gonna put it into the universe, the ether. Let's make this a thing. I love it, Mary. Thank you so much for talking to me about Holistay.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. We, as indie filmmakers, need platforms like you have to get our message out, and we greatly appreciate it. You just keep doing what you're doing, because one day you'll have this. Everyone will be like, if we're not on this podcast, then we're never going to make it.
I appreciate that. We have to support each other as a community, and
we do. And you're very supportive. You're very, very supportive, and I know that all the indie people who are on this show will say the same thing to you.
Thank you so much, Mary. You are so amazing. Thank you. Are there any IG's social links? I will put it all in the description below, and again, links for people to go check out Holistay as well. But I have a lot of people that commute while watching my interviews. Can we leave with just some of those links or anything that we can put out there for people to check you out online and follow, so we can make Holistay this reality?
So I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I don't have a web page for Holistay because I don't feel web page serves a film. I think web pages are good if you're a restaurant, but not necessarily a film. We're on IMDb. All my actors are on social media. We've been promoting it, on all the social platforms. I'm on TikTok a lot. A lot of it is word of mouth too. People talk about it. I mean, any streaming movie, there's always an interview or a promotion process, no matter how small or big you are, because as you know, there's a lot on streaming. So you have to find, I'm not on the thread yet. If you go to suspense or thriller, you go along the line and see what's there. You would just put the name in and the search and it comes up. I'm hoping in a couple weeks we'll be up to, where you could go along and find it in the thread, when you go along the lists, and hoping to be on Peacock soon too. Nice. These things unfold as time goes on. You get into more and more platforms. So right now it is housed Amazon Prime Video and VOD, and I believe it'll be in iTunes next week.
Okay. So is it TikTok Holistay or Mary Gallagher? What's the handle?
Mary G is my handle.
Okay. All right, y'all. I will put it in the description below. So if you're driving right now, if you can remember that, cool, but don't crash. When you get to where your destination is, I'll have the links in the description. Go over there, follow, subscribe, do all the things so we can support Mary as she brings Holistay hopefully to reality, and hopefully in Ireland, because that would be so sweet. I can't wait to check it out.
And I'd love to come on your show and talk about Holistay too.
Please, and any other projects, you are always welcome. I'm always about supporting my fellow creatives, and this was truly a delight. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you. You have a good rest of your day. And again, I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Everybody, Mary Gallagher, Holistay, available on all digital platforms right now. Go check it out. Links are in the description. It's your boy, Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World.